my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masters of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people of the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit the leak. The masters of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 balls, they upset, they ended the rape sentence. But the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And I'll pay the Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Darkness.
Feeling cold now, but got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark can't make light, but where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now they break lights. Counting days like brake lights, feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights, in my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's Free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Brake lights, brake lights, brake lights.
Everyone has heard of Pinterest. This is what it looks like before you log on. It's the home of cats. And more cats. And even more cats. and even some useful collections of information like art galleries of the world. But why would Unity for J people want to use it? Because so long as you sign in with a Pinterest logon, you will find a rapidly expanding library that will help you do your research, write your blogs, dress your tweets and Facebook entries with good quotes, and generally support Julian Assange and WikiLeaks more effectively and with less effort. So what's in here? The top part of the page has resources for learning and writing about Julian and WikiLeaks. We start off with info and donations, which takes you to various official sources. Notice how a link shows when you hover over a pin. So if you want to donate to Julian's Legal Defence Fund, find that pin and click the link. Instant access is in a separate window. When you're done donating, just close that window and go back to the Pinterest tab. All the major WikiLeaks publications are here in roughly chronological order. The chronological order of some boards is not exact, but Pinterest wasn't really designed for this purpose and makes it difficult. Sometimes extra entries are added to a board. In this case, the criteria WikiLeaks uses for publishing items. As with all pins, if we want to see the image enlarged, we click on the plus sign, and there it is. Want to see where that list of criteria came from? Just click the link. If the source is a video, you will usually be taken to the exact part of the video. But when it is a long article or transcript like this, you may need help. Just use the find function on your browser and it'll appear. We don't have time to look at all the research boards, but two that can be really helpful are Small Bits and Speaking. Small Bits is a collection of quotes in meme form linked to the source of the meme. The WikiLeaks principle of scientific journalism is that all things presented to a reader should be linked to source, so they can see and judge for themselves the accuracy of what you're saying. If you want to use these memes, you just right-click on the expanded image and save image as to download it to your own computer. Don't forget to associate it with the source link when you tweet or blog it, as you want to follow the WikiLeaks scientific journalism model. There's a growing collection of Julian Assange's speeches too, some with transcripts. Again, these are in roughly chronological order and are linked to the videos themselves. There's also an index at the top, which grows with every speech added. Click on it to explore the spreadsheet version of these speeches. The other research boards work the same ways. Recognition, which shows the prizes that Julian and WikiLeaks have won. Books, all the episodes of the 2012 Julian Assange show, and films about WikiLeaks. Where these are hostile, some commentary has been included too. Then we move into the fields of art related to Julian and WikiLeaks, often sourced from tweets, and music linked to videos or SoundCloud where appropriate. There's lots of legal stuff in Law and Lawyers, including links to relevant judgments. There's a small bit on Julian as a child and quite a bit more on what other people, OPs, have said about Julian in speech, writing, and some short quotes you can use too. Then we get to other resources, mostly created by Unity4J. All the vigil videos are here, linked to the videos of course, plus a board for the vigil speakers. Then quotes from the vigils that you can download and use for tweets, blogs, articles, etc. At the moment, each is just linked to the video the quote came from. As we get more time, we'll try to link to the exact place in the video. If someone wants to volunteer to help with that task, that'd be great. Tasty Tweets is a collection of timeless tweets if you've run out of stuff of your own to say. Find one that appeals and click on the Twitter link. You'll be taken straight to Twitter, where you can just retweet that tweet. How simple is that? Then you can sign petitions, help to get more awards for Julian and WikiLeaks, find graphics to download, and see lots of suggestions for getting advice. Here are things that other people have been doing, mostly picked up from their tweets. Your action can be here too if you bring it to our attention. This Pinterest page currently has more than 1,000 pins, and we're just getting started. Recommended to friends who want to know about Unity4J but don't want to come to Discord. This is another way to share our collective knowledge and resources. We hope you enjoy the Pinterest page, make it popular, and use it a lot to improve public knowledge about Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and their fight for truth in journalism and justice in the world.
Today we're alone outside the Ecuadorian embassy, where nobody cares about Julian Assange. Back to you, Ben.
Great work. Now let's get the fuck out of here, Rachel.
Hey, get back here. We care about Julian Assange.
Go now.
Hello everybody, welcome to WikiBees session 16. So much has happened. It's a big news session because so much has happened with the movement as well as with Julian Assange himself. So there's so much news. There was a big WikiBees session, remember yesterday, led by Susie, and she announced a whole lot of big changes. She's stepping back from the movement. She was working like 100-hour weeks and she was becoming sick from it. And so she's somewhat stepping back, and she's making, we're still going to have WikiBees sessions on Thursday and Friday, run by the mods. There are 30 of us mods, and hopefully we can all step up, following along from the inspiration of Susie and according to how she said. And then every Saturday, sorry, did I say Thursday and Friday? That's in New Zealand, Thursday and Friday, but for most of the world, it's Wednesday and Thursday. Joe's laughing, but
I have to do that translation all the time. Today's Saturday for us New Zealanders, 13 hours ahead of the rest of the world, but some of you are sort of 18 hours behind, and it's all over the place. So yeah, it's always good. I just know that we're here now.
Yeah, we're here now.
So in the future, this session, the Saturday or the Friday, will be replaced with the vigil. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Friday for the rest of the world, Saturday for New Zealand.
Awesome.
And the vigil will be run by Joe Lauria of Consortium News, who's done the last 2 vigils, I believe. So instead of monthly, it's going to be weekly. So that's a recognition, really, of the quickening of events around Julian, that it's really an emergency situation we're in now. Julian is in big trouble. But on the other side, what we're seeing is a big rise in support. There's a kid in the background. Who is that? That's Joe's kid.
That's my one over there.
Yeah, that's right. So, it's an emergency situation around Julian. And the good news, I think, is that there's so much more publicity coming to support Julian in his time of difficulty. So we're getting a lot of articles out. And I'm going to try a screen share. There was a big event just yesterday, pretty much at the same time as the WikiBees vigil yesterday. There was a tweet from WikiLeaks. I'm going to see if I can find it and then do a screen share. So this is a bit experimental. Share. There it is. Okay, if you can see that. Scoop. US Department of Justice accidentally reveals existence of sealed charges. Yeah, you're sort of sniggering at it accidentally. Yeah, I don't know. Or a draft of them against WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange. In apparent cut and paste error, sure. In an unrelated case, also in the Eastern District of Virginia, which is the espionage court, where they want to take Julian for being a publisher. It's ridiculous. But that was big news. I'm going to try and get out of screen share. There it is. So that was big news, and that made CNN, I think, that made the commercial, the legacy news, which is a rarity for Julian Assange. And it was also carried by Democracy Now! In a wonderful interview, which I suppose we can get back to later with Jen Robinson, who's Julian Assange's lawyer. And another recent so we have with us Mehdi Taleb, who will be very familiar to many of you.
Yeah, hi Bruce.
Hi Mehdi. So you run the site, it's a Liberté Info?
Info, yes, right. Yes.
Yeah. And
well, the website isn't updated anymore. It's like a museum now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I run the Twitter account, yes.
Yeah, so that's more just your handle, but you've been supporting WikiLeaks for years, haven't you?
Yeah, I started around September 2010, yeah. when there were these accusations against the Swedish accusations against Assange, and then the arrest warrants, and then the smear, and it all looked so weird and suspicious, you know. I mean, he just published the truth, right? Nothing of what was published was really put into question, but they tried to assassinate the character of the publisher.
Yes. Yeah, so you tweet a lot. You've done heaps and heaps for a long time. I think you're in Algeria, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, cool. And you were interviewed by the French RT. And was that because of the WikiLeaks announcement, or was that coincidence?
Yeah. Well, no, it was because of the WikiLeaks announcement. Well, every time there is a significant announcement, generally they call me for an interview. So yeah, it was because of the scoop that you were showing earlier, the unintentional leak by the prosecutors of the DOJ, showing that there is indeed charges. There are charges, sealed charges against Assange, which we have suspected for years, and there wasn't really clear evidence, but there were like suspicions, and I think it was testimony. Someone testified that there was this kind of thing existing, but it wasn't like a very reliable testimony. But this is like hard evidence, you know, and it's fantastic because it has. I mean, I think this with combined with what happened to the Saudi journalist Khashoggi, I think it has sent shivers down the spine of many journalists who start to realize that their life is literally in danger, and I think now they're like waking up to this reality, you know. And then the next one in line, well, Khashoggi now is dead, right? And the next one in line, who's been tortured for 8 years now, is Assange. So yeah, some voices started to come out. There was the executive director of Human Rights Watch who tweeted today in defense of Assange. There was a statement of the ACLU. Snowden also tweeted today.
Yes.
And yeah, so these are very, very good signs. So maybe it's like a cycle, you know. There's like a very bad phase and then a good one, and hopefully this good phase, if it continues, will help free Assange, and you know, get him back to his family, give him back his freedoms and his rights.
I just show that tweet from Julian.
Pardon, Bruce?
I'm sorry, I'll just show that tweet from Edward Snowden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was from just a few hours ago.
Yes. So this is what I say, the good news. You can despise WikiLeaks, you see it, right? And everything it stands for. You can think of Assange as an evil spirit reanimated by Putin himself. Is the worst you can think of WikiLeaks and Julian, but you cannot support the prosecution of a publisher for publishing.
Yeah.
Without narrowing the basic rights every newspaper relies on. And that's just the point that we have to spread. And that's the US First Amendment. That's very important in the US. We have Dr. Nozomi Hayase. We've had her on before, and she, if we're lucky, she might come on today and speak about that. Oh. So, sorry, I'll go back from the share view. And yeah, I can show you your interview is like 3 minutes and 25 seconds, so it's quite short, maybe.
Yeah.
I could try and show it, and shall I show it with the sound down, and then you want to explain what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, I will just summarize what was being said. Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'll see if I can find it. Okay, here's the interview.
Direct sur RT France, l'avocat de Julian Assange semble suggérer que son client pourrait bientôt être extradé. Quelle forme pourrait prendre, selon vous, cette extradition?
Yeah, well, the question of a journalist is, well, she's basically saying Julian's Ecuadorian lawyer said that there were like agreements between Ecuador and the UK, so that Ecuador hands over Assange to the UK, and she was asking what kind of how would that handing over look like? And what basically I answered is that they cannot hand him over because the Ecuadorian constitution forbids the extradition of an Ecuadorian citizen, which Julian Assange is now. It has been for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now. He has also an Ecuadorian citizenship. So I said there have been attempts in the Ecuadorian parliament by mainly one parliamentarian, Vintimilla is her name. Correct me, Jose. I know you're online if I'm wrong. Yeah, she's tried to remove his citizenship with the law, but she failed. So yeah, the extradition, the handing over to the UK is not really possible today, unless the government violates the Ecuadorian constitution, which would be a serious, very, very serious violation. And then the other question of the journalist, if I remember correctly, yeah, she was. I don't remember the second question, but basically what I was saying, because her questions were a little bit biased towards like as if the extradition was imminent and there was nothing to do about it. And what I answered was that Julian Assange's rights have been violated for 8 years now. And the weird thing, the strange thing is not is actually that he would be handed over. And the normal thing would be that he finds his freedom again. So I kind of reminded everybody to not just swallow the rhetoric of the Ecuadorian government, of the UK government, who are pushing for hoping that everybody would swallow this narrative. You know, I was saying that every day that passes is a violation of international law, of Ecuadorian law, and of British law, of UK law. Because Assange shouldn't be treated worse than a prisoner, than a criminal, because he doesn't even have 1 hour, the minimum 1 hour per day of fresh air and sunlight, which is a requirement by the UN. He is in isolation right now, even with this new protocol. It's worse than prison, and he isn't even charged with anything, right? Maybe he's charged in the US, but it's sealed. So it's like he's charged, but he's not charged. It's because it's the grand jury, stupid thing that exists still in the US. So basically, that's what I was telling the journalist earlier.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I should bring in Jose Rivera here. Sorry, I should have introduced you at the start, Jose.
No, that's not a problem.
Yes, we're so privileged to have you here because from Ecuador, very bravely, I think, of you, because it's a difficult time in Ecuador, and we love getting your reports from Ecuador. Julian Assange is in the Ecuadorian Embassy, London, and Ecuador, under its previous president, Rafael Correa, was very brave in granting Julian Assange asylum and then exile and citizenship when all of the main countries of the world, led by the US, were after him. So Ecuador bravely did that back in 2012. I think it was June 2012, right? And now they have a new president in, Lenin Moreno, who's not good. But I'll let you summarize that, Jose. And you're a citizen journalist, aren't you? You're a concerned citizen in Ecuador.
Yes.
You're interested in Julian as well, right? For your own sake, or were you more interested as part of the problems in Ecuador?
Well, no, it's my interest has always been, you know, against the oppression of the peoples of the world, and now it's even more because Assange is an Ecuadorian.
Yes.
So I have to fight for that. You see, because if the government wants to do, you know, what it's doing to Assange now, he's an Ecuadorian citizen. Now,
Yes.
can you imagine, you know, what they can do to someone who is not? You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
exactly.
So the pressure that the right-wing Christian party is making on Lenin to eliminate the Assange Ecuadorian citizenship has no legal, you know, justification, because just today there was a newspaper opinion by one of the right wing's party. So this guy is a lawyer. So I read the article. I can send it to you, and there you can see it. They don't have a legal basis to take away his citizenship, and they are questioning the discretion of the Ecuadorian government in granting Assange the citizenship. And as you know, every country of the world has that discretion to take decisions that happen at an embassy. So you know, he is holding on an article by the naturalization law that says that in order to get the citizenship by naturalization, you must at least have had to live in the country for 3 years. Now, but this Assange is an asylum seeker, and he's been living for at the embassy for 6 years already.
Which is Ecuadorian territory, by the way.
Yes, but I checked that law, international law, and an embassy is not considered territory. You understand what I'm saying? An embassy, for example, I read a case in which a woman gave birth in an embassy, but she requested the U.S. citizenship, and they told her no. The law does not recognize that, because an embassy is not like a you know the territory of that country. You understand what I'm saying? So I was reading the international law on that. So the discretion that the countries have a discretion to do you know a lot of things at the embassy. You know, for example, a country can give you the citizenship and an embassy, because that's you know, that's one of the privileges that they have. So they can give a person you know the residency without going through the requirements. So the right-wing Christian party is questioning the discretion that the Ecuadorian government had when they gave Assange the citizenship.
Just a question, Jose. the woman who gave birth in an embassy, so she gave birth in the U.S. embassy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think you can compare an American case with an Ecuadorian case because I don't think there's really an international law which says, okay, you can grant citizenship in embassies,
right,
or you can't.
yes.
I think, like you said, it's at the discretion of the government.
Yes, exactly.
And yeah, an embassy is a territory of the country of that embassy, even if it's in another country, which is always the case.
Yes.
But of course, they are trying to find things to exploit in order to remove Assange's citizenship, because this is a barrier for them. They cannot kick him out. They cannot hand him over to the UK police because of that. And there are also many other reasons.
But you see, this case will be handled in the Supreme Court, in the new Supreme Court, and all the judges were appointed by Lenin Moreno.
Yes. Yeah.
And this case go to that court, and that's where the where the problem could be.
Yeah, it's a kangaroo court.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the problem. The problem is not if Assange should have his citizenship removed or not. It's rather what Lenin Moreno is doing in Ecuador. This is a big problem.
Yes. Now, I think that their plan is to remove his citizenship. But the court, since they were, named by Lenin, they can go either way. Either recognizes the discretion of the government of Ecuador or not. Yeah. So in that basis, they can just say no, his citizenship is not good, because they don't recognize it. But his asylum is still valid, whether he is a citizen of Ecuador or not.
Yeah, exactly. So both ways. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they cannot question that in any court, because his asylum was given legally. So so that's the only. So we don't know what is going to be the outcome of. Well, I don't want to be thinking bad, but that's the Attorney General and the Chancellor for Foreign Relations, they keep saying, if Assange complies with the protocol, he can stay as long as he wants. They keep saying that, and they said that today.
Yeah, but as you know, if you have read the protocol contains lots of traps. It's like laid down traps, and they can decide at their own discretion if Assange has violated or not one of those conditions of the protocol. So that protocol is unacceptable.
Yes.
So maybe Assange had to accept it because it was last recourse. I don't know if he must have accepted it because he has been receiving visits recently. But there is a case against the government. He's appealing his case, right, Jose?
Yeah, the appeal is for the protocol. Government.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
the appeal is for the protocol. So the case to be heard at the Supreme Court, which is called Corte Nacional, will be Corte Constitucional, will be heard on that theme only, the legality of the protocol. So, so I don't know what other, venue, because after that court, makes the ruling where attached lawyers can go.
The protocol is pretty obviously illegal, isn't it? Even whether he's a citizen or not a citizen.
It's abusive, clearly. Actually, any contract or protocol which is clearly abusive, meaning one side has too much power over the other one, shouldn't be. It shouldn't be called a contract or a protocol, because you're like someone is forcing something on somebody else who is in a weaker position. This is in terms of law. It's the next.
I have a question. I'm asking myself a question. Does a protocol, the rules, the behavior of an asylee at an embassy, has to be a contract?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that protocol actually violates the Inter-American Human Rights Convention from 1954 that Ecuador ratified in 1954, which protects rights of asylees. So yeah, maybe there's a way to challenge that protocol at that level, at the Inter-American level. I don't know then. Maybe it's a possibility.
Yes, but my question was not that. My question was, can Assange lawyers require the government of Ecuador to sign, to have them sign the protocol between the two parties after they reach an agreement on it? You understand my question?
Yes.
Because you see, a contract has to be signed by two parties. So yes. I don't know if the law can force the Ecuadorian government to reach an agreement on the protocol, so that Assange lawyers and the Ecuadorian government sign and uphold by it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. You mean does the government have a power to force Assange to sign the protocol, right?
Well,
you mean they cannot force it
yes.
on him, right? You mean they cannot force him to sign it or impose it on him?
Yeah, that's my question. You see, because they keep saying that they gave the protocol to him and he agreed to it, but I heard that Assange hasn't.
Well, the problem. Yeah, the problem is before he signed maybe the protocol, he didn't sign the protocol. Yeah, well, yeah, but either way, he was in solitary confinement virtually for 7 months. When you put someone in this position and then you say, "Oh, he signed voluntarily the protocol," it's absolutely ridiculous. Even if he signed it, it's absolutely worthless, because these are not conditions in which a person can sign any form of contract or protocol.
I think his lawyers have described it as abusive. The protocol. There's no way that he would sign that.
Yeah, so, that's what I understood initially. But, the fact that he received visits and one of his visitors, his friend, the philosopher, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. I think he mentioned in his tweet the protocol, which suggests that the protocol is being enforced, and it can be enforced only if Assange has signed it. But we are only speculating, right? We don't know for sure, unless there's confirmation from Assange's team or WikiLeaks.
Sorry, that was a mistake. It was somebody else that visited him. Two people have visited Julian Assange in the past days, and that's the other big news. I mean, that's really positive news after 7 months of no visitors.
Absolutely.
2 visitors already have been approved that we know of and have visited Julian. One of them was for 3 hours, I think. So they may both have been for 3 hours, which are a substantial visit. So that's wonderful news, really. I mean, imagine you haven't been able to see anyone for 7 months and suddenly you get to see people.
Yeah, these are horrible conditions. I mean, it's worse than a serial killer's treatment in a high security prison. And the guy isn't even charged officially.
Yes. So, can we clarify, Jose, what Julian Assange's rights in two situations, if he is a citizen and if he isn't a citizen? Because he has rights even if he isn't a citizen. But is it true if he is a citizen that there's no extradition treaty between Ecuador and the US? Does that mean the US?
No, that's what I was coming to. Yes, that's it, but that's at the discretion of the country. So, you know, one president could accept an extradition and another one could not.
Oh, so he's not safe.
It's not in the Constitution, but nobody's going to question the president, you know.
You're saying it's basically a situation of lawlessness. Even the Constitution isn't going to be upheld under Lenin Moreno, the current president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yes.
They can't extradite him as a citizen for the moment. If I'm correct, right, Jose? As a citizen, he cannot. That's why he's appealing. He's appealing his case about the protocol. Right. No, that's the protocol. Sorry, yeah. Yes. Regarding the extradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, you know, we have living so much time of illegality by Lenin Moreno. He breaks the law every day. So, you know, I mean, he has broke the Constitution so many times that, you know, we're used to him doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that so many times. I've read just a few of them, but yeah, I totally believe he does that every single day.
Isn't it true?
Yes, on a daily basis.
Isn't it true, Jose, that in recent days, even I suppose yesterday and today, there are protests, bigger protests. It sounds like the protests are getting more against the president of Ecuador.
Yes, there was a road blockage to the south of Quito, in a province, and they were the drivers' union. You see, drivers here have a union, and they wanted they were asking the government for better pay, so and other benefits. So they made, you know, they made a protest for about 2 days. They blocked the roads. And then yesterday, the government sent someone there, and they signed a deal. So there is no more protest there.
Yes.
And people here are not protesting.
Are not.
But you see, the problem is, as I have said before, the media. That's the main culprit. The media doesn't inform anything of the horrible things he's doing, that Lenin is doing.
Yeah.
The people don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, nobody's going to protest.
Yeah, the problem with the media
he could not be a dictator.
Sorry, Jose, you said?
Yeah, a dictator cannot survive without the media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the thing is, what they do is I mean, even if you see like your purchasing power go down and your rights disappear one after the other, when you watch those media or listen to them, they give you the impression that everyone is fine, and you tend to believe that you are like an exception, and if you feel like that, it's because you are a loser, you know. So people don't realize how many of them are in the same situation, which blocks them. It like inhibitates them. Sorry, inhibitates them and stops them from gathering and protesting together and asking for their rights together. Yeah. So the media it kind of isolates them, you know, because instead of being like one people, one group, they are like several very small entities, powerless entities, and that's how people like Lenin can rule sometimes for a very long time. But I don't think Lenin will rule for a long time. I don't know what you think, Jose, but I think he's going really badly about it, and he's making lots of mistakes. I think he will make one mistake too much in not too long, especially since you've been saying that he's been breaching laws on a daily basis almost. I don't know what you think, Jose. Do you think he could like stay for several years until the next election, or maybe he will make one big mistake before that?
Well, you see, the ruling elites are backing him. They own the media, so and also the armed forces. In a way, they are backing him. The armed forces is not like the old days, you know, that they would make a coup, but now it's different because the law is different. They punish them now for doing things like that. So the media is everything these days. Yeah, and remember that we live in a me society now. The world is living a me society, and I'm doing an investigation on that, and it's terrible what is happening to the world. The me society has destroyed collectivism. It's not good. So you know, if he has the media and the elites behind him, I don't see how they can overthrow him unless the people begin to fill on their pockets, you know, which they are now.
Yes.
They are now, and it's probably going to take another year or so to, you know, for people to realize. But you see, they kind of know that, you see, because they are rushing at such a speed to legalize everything that they have destroyed. You see, they are setting up a country. They are changing it. They are changing our country into being a productive country, into being a debtor country, a country that asks for loans all the time.
Yeah,
you see,
yeah.
And the majority of that money never comes to the country anyway.
Exactly.
So it's no. The economy of Ecuador has gone down. Now we are less than Argentina. The risk. The economic risk, according to the international banks, Ecuador has gone down from being one of the best, the second or third best, to one of the worst. Fast. We are going to be probably the worst economy in Latin America.
Wow.
At the speed we are going. Yes. Because you see, that's the idea. They want to sell everything that power stations, phones, oil, everything. Yes, so they are doing it so fast So by the time they overthrow Lenin, it's already done on the books.
Yeah,
and as you know, yes, and as you know, now international companies, multinationals are protected by international law. So, if they buy, an oil, the national oil, the country cannot say, hey, give it back to me by nationalizing it. Oh, international law protects them now. So they, so that's, Lenin will be setting us to that point soon. And the people don't know.
Yeah.
They are sabotaging the electrical system so that it will not work properly. They are sabotaging the telephone system so that it will not work properly. They, for example, the phone company, a worker told me that the government is not giving them the materials, the cables and everything, that they have to, get all lines that are not being used and putting it somewhere else. So, they are doing their job, believe me.
It's sabotage. It's a strategy. They sabotage the national companies that are doing a great job, and then they tell the people, "Oh, look, they are so horrible. We have to privatize them, and it will be much better." And they sell them to their friends.
Yes, exactly.
Guys, we're getting some questions from chat. I'm sorry to everyone watching in chat we've fallen behind. So there's some questions for you, Jose. The first one is a comment from Frothbeard saying, Jose, here. Julian Assange is an Ecuadorian citizen and his rights as such should be upheld. So that's just a comment. And a question from Stephanie Marsilia. Hey, Jose, with a bit of scurry seen around Assange in the last 24 hours, I've wondered, how is Glass doing? So can you explain who Glass is and then answer Stephanie's question?
Yeah, Glass is our elected vice president. You see, for the past presidential elections, the two candidates for the presidency were, so the duel was Lenin chose Glass as vice president candidate. So they won. Mm-hmm. But you see, Lenin had an agenda, and Glass was not part of his agenda. He was part of the progressive thinking. So Lenin got rid of him by putting him to jail. So now Glass is under hunger strike. And, he could die in prison. So, Lenin is going to be very happy, to remove him from the scene.
For how long has he been on hunger strike?
I think today is the day 27. But remember last week, Lenin fooled Glass's wife into going into the hospital in Quito. Promised his wife that Glass would go to a better jail where he was before. So once he got the treatment at the hospital, he sent him back early in the morning without telling anybody. So now he's back. Yeah, he's back in hunger strike again.
I think he even.
So that's.
Well, it sounds like
I couldn't hear it well.
It sounds like. Oh, you. Sorry, maybe.
I could not hear well there.
I was just saying he also stopped drinking water. I think a week ago.
Yes, after that night, he decided not to drink nothing. No water, nothing. No medicine. And the doctors, he's refusing his doctors too. So
yeah, he doesn't
the
trust
situation is serious.
My understanding is
the situation is very serious.
My understanding is if you refuse water, it's much quicker than if you refuse food. Much quicker. Your body, I think you get a heart attack eventually. Your body just shuts down because it doesn't have hydration.
Yeah.
Well, they must be injecting him, but he doesn't. As far as well, from what I've read, he hasn't been drinking water for a week. I think something like that.
Yes. You know, he's probably. But you see, this is a media war too. You see, he it's a media show basically, and you know, we'll see who wins. But you see, the media is not reporting anything on Glass, nothing.
Exactly.
Just like as if he didn't exist.
The vice president.
No, a lot of people don't even know that he's on hunger strike.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Yeah, that's
22 days and yeah, no one knows. Yeah,
I just take the opportunity to say hi to a couple of new panelists who've come on. Rapid River's come on, who's showing us Rapid River, but that's Dr. Nozomi Hayase. Hi, Nozomi.
Hi. Hi, all.
Hi, Nozomi.
Hi.
And also on is Simon Floth.
Hi. Actually, this is exactly where I was hoping to chime in with Jose discussing about how the media is not even reporting on such an incredibly important matter as the hunger strike of the elected vice president. And there's been, we talked about this briefly before in a previous WikiBees session, and Susie has also emphasized even yesterday the importance of having some form of dialogue here with those in Ecuador, citizen journalists like Jose, some sort of responsive knowledge base or a way to get this information into the English media. And vice versa, to get information about Assange into Ecuador, and I really think there are potentials for this because it's just a matter of getting people's attention. It's not like the media is in charge of informing people and has a right to prevent people from having any information. We just need to somehow get around this. We need to circumvent this blockade of imposed by commercial media, and I think we have the resources to do that. It's very difficult listening to, partly because of the difficulty to hear clearly and issues about accent and so on, and just the nature of a fluid discussion like this. It's hard to keep track of the crucial details. And there needs to be some, I think this needs to be in text in some form and perhaps on the Discord server. And certainly I think we all need to be aware of each other's, who is on Discord, each other's handles and have a central place. And I'm glad that Joe is here. I hope, because really that we need to have a tech person here to try to create some sort of hub where everybody knows that everybody can ask a question and get some attention to have it answered in a particular place, rather than just waiting for these WikiBees and asking questions and hoping we get the information through. Because there are, for instance, I mentioned a member from a week ago now, Jose was talking with us and mentioned that, for instance, there is only one page of I think it's a sentence describing the justification why this hunger strike is in effect. If I think if that information came out at this time, we had the document we could link to. There could be articles with that document, analysis. I think that would get attention in the English-speaking media. And I think that that would seep back into Ecuador, for one, but also it's a major issue with respect to the situation with Assange. There is now attention being directed by people who were previously quiet. Now there's a slight rise in support. Blue tick Twitter personalities are coming out in support of Assange. And this is a major story, that there's a scourge going on in Ecuador. And this is all part of exactly the same thing. If people, realise that not only is there a charge out, there's leaked information now about being a sealed charge against Assange, but also this regime that of persecution that Ecuador's started on him with cutting his communications and imposing all these draconian restrictions on him is part of a much bigger action. Nefarious action that's going on in Ecuador, which is including the present murder of the elected vice president. That's a huge story. And
yes, it is.
It's some hard facts to get into articles for it to I think it will break and shatter the lockdown, the media lockdown that's in Ecuador, and also it would break up and do a lot to change the media situation. And to build the momentum of the raising media awareness and support for Assange in the English-speaking community.
Do you not separate?
That was a long rant, but I did briefly address Joe there, and I think he was about to respond. But that was my concern, just to get something to happen on Discord, that we can have a little hub here that everybody knows. There's the hub. Here's where you ask and answer questions, and get some information flowing between the two countries.
Yeah, it certainly would be awesome. There are a few sort of I suppose faltering efforts you'd call them. Otherwise, they would have met.
Yeah, I was part of
met
it
up with,
about a week ago.
Met up with you. Yeah, so there's been a few attempts to do that over the time. I did also invite Bjorn to come in and talk about how the new website can help facilitate a lot of those conversations. But there has been a number of calls.
He's actually really behind this kind of thing, and we've been talking about that as well. We're expecting the new website to really facilitate that. But just if we could have at least a channel or a sub channel on Discord, or even just pick one of the existing ones, and so we can all sort of know, okay, this is the spot, this is where to look.
Yeah, so there's probably. Go on.
Yeah, can I just add something to what Simon said? What I started to recognize is that, what's happening with Assange is really the war on the First Amendment. So we now have war, secret war that have been going on since 2010, when this U.S. government's aggressive persecution toward WikiLeaks and Julian Assange have started. And public is kept in dark about this war, and as Assange pointed out, every war starts with lies, serious lies. And then having public not knowing about, first of all, this is happening, and second of all, what this war is really about, that we really, people have no idea what's going on. And so I think that we, journalists have to recognize ourselves, especially those of us who witness this war being unfolded in front of our eyes, that we are war correspondents. We have a duty to report what's going on, the nature of this war, who is doing what. And what is really at stake? And WikiLeaks and Julian Assange have been on the front line of this battle. So I started to recognize, and this war is basically engaged by U.S. government and having the American people's name. So the American people's their tax money is being used to fund this war, and having Ecuadorian government and UK government and Swedish government, all of those, other Western nations, US government engaging with other Western nations to bully this country in South America to attack WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. So I think it's really important for us to really put this in a larger context, and then show, especially I think, to American public, that what this war is really about. And in the same way that the American people were kept ignorant about Vietnam War in the 60s, and it was Daniel Ellsberg, his courageous act of whistleblowing, releasing Pentagon Papers, that contributed to the end of Vietnam War. And the same is said about Iraq War. Iraq War started with serious lies. It was Colin Powell, the Secretary of State, lying at the UN Secretary Council, saying that Saddam Hussein has a weapon of mass destruction, when it wasn't the case. And then the media basically disseminated these lies and persuaded American people to go to war. So in the same way that we have to recognize, I think we have to strategically find a way to communicate with American people and let American people know what WikiLeaks stands for. I think that's, first of all, very important, because American people right now are, bombarded with misinformation and propaganda to make WikiLeaks and Julian Assange look like they are supporting Donald Trump, and then they are agent for Vladimir Putin, and threatening American democracy and American ideals, when it's actually the opposite. The WikiLeaks and Julian Assange stood for American ideals. So I think that as someone who lives in the U.S., I think it's very important to develop the public awareness and have American people recognize, that WikiLeaks is not their enemy. Julian Assange is not, threatening American democracy. Actually, he is fighting for, what what this country stood for. So, so that's just my take on, and I have, specific perspective because I live in the U.S. and this war is basically declared by the Obama administration and now being carried on by the Trump administration. So I think that the American people can play a very important and unique role. And just as any wars, the Iraq War, Vietnam War, and all the wars that started by the U.S. can be ended by its people. If U.S. government claims its legitimacy and claims to its authority over its own people, then American people have power to account this government and what they're doing. So I think that it's important to find a way to do that. Sorry, it's kind of long-ended, but yeah.
We're all on mute now, except for me. But I was hoping to hear from Joe in response to this, with respect to a focal point where communication can be facilitated on Discord through between the two countries.
Yeah, totally. I was going to defer discussion on the recent technical things to Bjorn, who's just joined us. But I mean, certainly I'm fully in support of it. What we can do in the short term is ensure that we've got a channel that's sort of specifically for that. I know there's a few outreach ones. There's probably the mainstream media one, which is a good channel where they sort of take mainstream media articles, and there's the truth defenders sort of. So there's a whole bunch of
that's kind of
sort
the
of
problem,
things, but
if we
but
can't
nothing really where it's a focus.
Out of those, I'm suspecting the Truth Defender is the right one. Does everybody automatically have access to that?
I believe that I'm just trying to find it in my Discord at the moment. It's not called Truth Defenders, is it?
Stop looking for it, Joe, because I see the Discord so that people can see where we work.
I can certainly do that. Bear with me. I just need to find my actual Zoom, which is hiding somewhere over there. I think my kid needs some attention too. Maybe I'll defer this until. Oh, puppies!
Perfect timing.
He's his older brother would have told him to go away. Anyway, my wee one. There's all these people in there watching you cry.
You need to try and find it in the Zoom, Joe, if you're too busy.
No worries. I will.
In the Discord.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure. It's the. Shush for a minute. I'm pretty sure it's that MSM channel that I'm thinking of. But if anyone else finds it, edit channel.
The Truth Defenders?
No. I suppose I could just do a shout out. Truth Defenders, where do you hang out? I can't remember which channel it is. You want to make noises? Okay. Sorry. I'll find it and get back to you. Continue the discussion.
Okay, yeah. If we could have it today, that'd be cool. Since we're all here, and an announcement that everybody can hear it, so we know. But anytime you've got it, that's great.
So I'm trying to figure out. So the channel is for communications between Ecuadorian citizens who are in the Discord and
so English, Spanish from Ecuador to the rest of the world, basically.
Because most people can't see our Discord. You have to be a member of the Discord.
That's true, but I can't think of a better arrangement at the moment, at least temporarily.
There are a number of channels which are open to everyone, so you can essentially send an invite into them, and anyone can just pop in. So that's probably ideal if you've got a public-facing one. The trick with that is to ensure that
what's all that banging?
It's called The Little Kid Who Wants My Attention rather than everyone else.
What I do personally is to follow the Twitter account of the former president Rafael Correa, and he has great tweets, very diverse, and then I translate like the main idea of either the tweet or the article which is tweeted. So for them, and many people retweet that. So there is an interest indeed, Simon, for this kind of thing. Clearly.
Yeah, I think that's great. But the only and crucial, and that's good input as well to this channel. It's just what we're trying to do at this particular moment is to make it responsive. Because the problem, I see tweets and I can't ask a question to the person that tweeted, and that's. I think we can really make some great progress just by adding that little fact, a little hub where we can have a responsive activity in that kind of way.
But you're not on Twitter, Simon.
And that's part of the problem, yeah. But that's me. I'm not going to go there. I'm an academic hermit kind of person. Apart from this, I just have to come out and say some things in support of Julian Assange. That's all.
And the same is academic. She's on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Some are.
I need to go. So.
Okay. Thank you, Jose,
for more questions.
Do you have a handle on Discord? You can, because you're one of the most important people that would be important to have involved, or at least to know that where this is going to be on Discord. So we would like to be able to get that information to you. So if you have a Discord handle, I could send you a message, Jose.
Yeah, well, Bruce has my handle.
Okay, we'll go through Bruce. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night. What is it?
Good night. Thank you.
Can I say it? Can I say it, Jose?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Oh, you can say it. It's lad.
You have a question for me, or
your Discord handle is can I say it?
Ladrillero.
Ladrillero.
Yes.
Okay, great.
If you do LAD, Simon, LADRI.
I've seen that one before, but now that I know, that's great.
You should get on Twitter.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, thanks so much, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. You take care.
Appreciate it. And I feel that we're doing a wider service here because it's really disgusting what's going on in your country. And I think Julian would be commenting on it full bore if he was able to, wouldn't he?
He would.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night, Jose. Oh, that was good. I do think that, Simon, that Twitter can be, the social media is quite important. If you don't like Twitter, you'll really hate Facebook, I can tell you now.
Oh, don't worry, I know that much. But I think you're quite right. That's where the main activity goes. It's just that, I hate to use the metaphor, but intelligence agencies, for instance, what their core is about posing and answering questions. And they have the infrastructure and the facility to do that very effectively. And big media organizations are the same thing. They're effectively mini intelligence agencies. And we're a bit like that as well. And that's the way, that's the activity that goes on in Discord is a focused way of responsively distributing information. And that's what the new website is going to be focused on. And it's really a fantastic development for the present time. So I'm just trying to extend this to more rapidly and effectively engage these particular issues with a little hub for direct communication. Twitter's a public space where people make a broadcast and respond with broadcast, and sometimes there's effective interchange, and sometimes it's like echo chamber effect, where people are actually isolated because they're only focusing on specific things. So it's to facilitate discourse, basically, is what I'm trying to focus on here. And I think we're all doing our best, and this is just what I think is a few of us have been trying to push for. And as Joe was saying, there's a few spots on Discord, but what you need is actually a clear settling on one before the actual discourse starts to occur on the particular issue.
Yeah. So I did have a look, and Media Corrections is the channel where the truth defenders hang out, but they're primarily focused on correcting the lies of various media articles. So there'll be various things that you see, and a team there of a bunch of great people. We've got social media admins, journalists, a whole bunch of supporters, our comms team, a bunch of other people, and a few people from web team and Facebook and stuff that keep an eye on this channel.
Yeah, I think that's
that's probably media facing. There has also been, I do see it quite a bit in sort of the campaign chat or timeout, people asking, how do we respond to this kind of lie or message that's out there. Bruce, you've been around here. I mean, there's outreach. None of it is really.
There was a media coordinating I saw there at the end of the news channel, Joe. You scroll back up a little.
Yeah. So who's this? Oh yeah. So this is the channel where our live people who are on the ground, truth defenders, proofreaders, comms teams, journalists, and mods, and Alistair all hang out to coordinate media.
Looks good to me.
Joe, I know, but can you explain that view to someone who's watching Discord? Because I always like to introduce people to the Discord. So the view that you showed there.
So I'm obviously, for all intents and purposes, the server owner. God himself. So I get to see everything. So what you're seeing may be different. You may on some channels have this little person icon next to a channel, which is where you can invite someone. And you may, if you're a mod or someone in charge of a channel, have this little cog which shows you the properties of a channel. So I was just checking who had permissions on this particular channel. So the way Discord works is you can add roles or members to a particular channel, and you can then say, so for example, on this one, the reason why most people can't see it is everyone cannot read messages. And so I think this channel's designed for coordinating between media bits and pieces. So it's probably something like, so we compare that to media corrections. Much of the same people are there, but everyone can read the messages, but they can't send them. So that's a good sort of channel for saying, hey, invite everyone along to it. They can read the messages. They can scroll back up the channel, but they can't actually send anything unless they've got one of these roles. So they're a social media admin, a journalist, comms team, they're one of our bots, or a truth defender. So this is probably the kind of channel you can invite people to. In theory, it's got it does have a number of sort of articles. French-speaking article riddled with errors, and someone's reached out and said, please can you fix this? And whether or not that happened is cool. But yeah.
What about the urgent channel up there? The first one under news.
Yeah. So urgent. Urgent is.
Urgent's the urgent, though.
We don't have a lot of really urgent stuff. I'm looking up the last one was from Susie at almost the start of the month, talking about the attempted break-in at the Ecuadorian embassy, and that's where we had this emergency vigil, the emergency live stream. Which I think that video's changed actually. We cut it down a bit small. Anyway, sorry, I've got a crank in the back.
My impression there is that ideally there would be a channel dedicated specifically, a new one to driving media, you might say, because all of these are largely responsive categories. Media coordinating is more like trying to work out strategies rather than actually breaking news and asking questions for updates on specific things to go into articles and stuff like that, to set the narrative, as Susie used to try to emphasize what we need to do.
So the team for that is probably more communications. So the communications, the comms team, so they've got several channels in there. That, I mean, comms discussion is a good one, where there's a lot of discussion going on. About what our message out to the world is, and this is where, say, press releases and things get put together. And also, and so I think part of this is comms approvals. Which is where a lot of the sort of messaging gets approved, like tweets and cool little haikus and poems and things.
I'm sort of getting the feeling that communications is a channel that is like the expression of Unity for J. Which is partly, but it's not. it's the approvals thing that isn't really conducive to the kind of things that we want to see happen here, because it's more like we just want to exchange information and ask questions and get them answered to facilitate communication, but not necessarily facilitate Unity for J communication.
Yeah. So there, well, there are various teams of people outreaching and doing things under you start to talk about actions. So you've got your various events. I recall something recently. I was asked to make a channel for, maybe it was just Dutch. There was something where, streaming web. No, I would say it's probably something that's a active action type thing rather than a sort of planned comms thing. I don't know. What do you want to call it, Simon?
What do I call it? Narrative driving. How about that? I'm a philosopher. I'm not very practical in these matters. So.
What you're thinking about, Simon, sounds to me like the equivalent of a press agency, like Associated Press or the AFP. They feed actually news to the other outlets, right?
Yeah, your speech was a bit blurry there, but I think that's you said it right.
Yeah, so from that perspective, we certainly do. Our comms team certainly does have there's outreach, which sort of contacting people directly, sending out letters to members of parliament or all sorts of bits and pieces. So there's a lot of that sort of direct outreach. I think what you're talking about, Simon, is more at a person level where you're trying to find the answer to a suggestion.
What about real-time journalism? How about that rather than narrative driving?
Are you talking about press releases?
No, because they're carefully thought out words.
It's just like Minnie was saying, like a news agency, a way that people can ask and answer questions in real time to produce articles to get people to keep people informed in real time.
I have to scroll through a whole bunch. So I'm thinking the comms team. Oh wow.
So a news stream then?
Sorry?
Is it a news stream?
News stream, in a sense, but news streams are just one way. It needs to be two-way. It needs to be something that where people can ask a question and something that people can answer those questions. And so it needs attention from people who are asking and answering questions on a regular basis.
Yep. Wouldn't that have to be at the website? Because the Discord doesn't have mainstream journalists on it.
I don't know.
And at the moment, we just really need somewhere where the people who are listening to this and agreeing that it's important can focus their attention on and meet each other and ask and answer questions. We could pick one of these channels, but they're not quite perfect channels. So it looks like Joe is making one for us, which is great.
Yeah, I'm making one. I figure. Behind my screen here, actually, I have to save them. So from the I think everyone should be able to read the messages.
Everyone should probably be able to send them as well, I think. What do you think?
I'm keen on everyone is everyone on the entire internet.
Yeah, I don't mind that actually, because. But what we could do is if there's any trouble, we can revise that. But whatever you think, that's my suggestion.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll compromise.
Can I ask,
go for it.
Can I ask? Well, yeah. I'm just wondering if there's a way to brainstorm a way to bring people into Discord, because I think once people in the system, they're pretty informed about what's going on. Yeah. But what about the people who don't use Twitters or don't know anything about Unity4J, and how to reach out to these people?
Yeah, so I think
yeah.
I think the output from this group should be going out to social media and various platforms and bits and pieces, and it should just be pumping out. If there is a question and it's answered, then put it into the
great.
Put it out online. But also, I know Bjorn's been working on ways to sort of collect these frequently asked questions and categorize them and turn them into a knowledge base. Simon, I was going to ask, what's your Discord handle? Are you on there or?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there as witness.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. So I will add you to this channel and give you permissions to manage it if you need, so that you can cull any messages and bits and pieces that.
Can I ask a question from someone in the chat? I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat channel for the YouTube. Okay, so someone has asked, Limbus has asked, what is the purpose of Wikibees?
To do stuff like this, to make changes that are necessary to drive this forward. That's my answer.
So the purpose of Wikibees is to probably transparently show you that we're actually doing something, and to inspire you to some degree by seeing that there are a bunch of people working on this, that they are in most regards just normal people.
Susie's saying a lot about transparency in connection with this. It's
yeah, totally.
That's a major difference, and I think it was Commander X that this is a real revolution in activism, because people out there who are told stories about us all being Russian bots can sort of have a look for themselves and see that actually, and that's a rather ridiculous characterization of what's going on here. It's obviously people who just in some ramshackle manner come together to do their best to make some difference for the sake of supporting Assange. And it's also an historical record. You can see what we said, what we did. It's a form of transparent political action. Unfortunately, that makes it a little bit messy in some respects, but that's the price to pay. And we get better as we go.
Yeah, I think there are several purposes. You're right. For example, you can see on the screen, Bjorn is working away. He's working away on the new website, because we have a website as well as a work server. The work server is Discord that we've just been looking at, and we also have a website, where people, that does what websites normally do, that have links to the YouTube and things like that. And also, I think it is a great forum to get news. For example, we had Jose on here giving us news from Ecuador. That was wonderful. And catching up with people with current events. Mady's on here. Mady's a mod in Discord. Mady does a lot for Julian, but also he's just done an interview on RT. So that's we're highlighting that as well. And also this, I think this should genuinely be placed to spread the word and to inform people. For example, Nozomi, one of the things I was most pleased with was being able to interview you. And I learned a lot from the interview, and I think a lot of people responded positively to that. I thought that was great. So several purposes, I think, for the Discord is the answer.
But yeah, your idea, Simon, is very good. Like you said, to create a narrative, or I don't know what you said exactly, but yeah, it's very important because unfortunately you know what they did to the media in the last maybe 30 or 40 years. They've been bought by corporations, and then the first thing they did is that they suppressed the offices which were, you know, on the field, what they called the
reporters on the ground.
Yeah, what is it called?
Field reporters.
I don't remember. I'm a little bit tired. I'm sorry. It's very late at night, but you get my meaning. So they cut all those positions, all those offices, and that's why the media has become so almost useless, even damaging, because now they are stenographers, like we have said already on the vigil. They are stenographers for the government. Whatever the government says, they just repeat it and print it and sell it to people as being news. You know? So yeah, I absolutely like this idea. Absolutely, to contribute to creating the narrative.
It's really a progression of citizen journalism.
Exactly.
So Susie's a citizen journalist, and this is sprung up around her in a lot of ways. And Kathy Bogan is a citizen journalist and made a fantastic point, I think it was last week on the Wikipedias, that citizen journalists are generally the best journalists because they have a driving focus.
Yeah.
Whereas most reporters are just, in a sense, like talking heads or you know, Twitter handles. They're just celebrities.
They're motivated by a paycheck.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that clearly.
Oh, sorry. I said they are motivated by the paycheck.
Exactly, and they're also generalists rather than specialists. So they're pundits. They're just people that have a show. They get attention and they make comments on things. Or there are investigative reporters that usually know their subject reasonably well. But a citizen journalist is somebody who follows a topic for a large portion of their life and absorbs details constantly. And that's why the material that Susie, for instance, produced with Being Julian Assange is so powerful and informative. But the problem with citizen journalists is that they don't have the advantages of organisations. They're not interlinked in responsive ways. They monitor each other, but only through diverse networks, like, for example, Twitter, or by following mainstream news and commenting on their various platforms themselves. And that's effective to a degree, but it lacks that central benefit that a news agency has, or an intelligence agency, or something like that, a place where specific means to ask and answer questions in a rapid manner that you can count on the fact that everybody's paying attention.
Intelligence agencies don't have a very good reputation for efficiency.
But yeah, that's true, but they're a bureaucratic structure. I think that's the reason that everybody's worried about their career. And also they're a compromised structure because of the political forces.
Exactly, the bias, yeah.
And the lack of transparency.
And I think that also that, you know, this shows the growing community and global network of people who care about same ideals, right to free speech and transparency for the powerful and privacy for the individual, for instance. And then around, I mean, WikiLeaks is a transnational organization, and it doesn't really represent interests of any particular nation or corporations. And in this way, that, you know, people coming together around the world supporting WikiLeaks and sharing ideas and why WikiLeaks is important to them, and hearing about different, you know, perspectives have been very informative for me personally. And also, it's kind of it's really good to hear that, because living in the U.S., ever since the 2016 presidential election, the rhetoric and had been really much changed about WikiLeaks, and you know, the progressives turned against the organization. And so I've been feeling very much alienated, you know, people who used to support Julian, and now I can talk to them about WikiLeaks, you know. So it's nice to hear how the impact that this organization had in various countries, and you know, so this is a kind of testimony of what WikiLeaks has done, and empowering people and people to kind of take up their own skills to inform themselves and become actually engaging citizen journalism, as you could say. So for that, this WikiLeaks working session is a good example of how we could, it's kind of like a living model of how we can create democracy, how we can organize society, and then we can build new skills and inspire each other. And so I think it's a good thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, Nozomi. I very strongly agree. I think this is like we're developing a hub for citizen journalism.
Right, and we've been always told that we are, ignorant and we are not capable. You have to get a journalism degree to become a professional journalist. We have to have credentials and all of that stuff. And now, we are here just bringing our passion and skills, and we actually do an amazing job here. So I hope that, and that's what WikiLeaks has done: empower ordinary people to speak up and start to inform themselves. So. We are modeling after WikiLeaks and creating a new decentralized network, So you guys all inspire me in this regard, yeah.
Well, actually, Nozomi, I can add to that. With respect to WikiLeaks, I was involved in some email communication very early in response to an invite from Julian, a public invite from Julian on the internet service provider that he was operating at the time. I had an email account with. And what we're talking about here and what we're engaged in here is part of the vision that WikiLeaks was originally pursuing. And what actually happened was that a lot of these things couldn't work out at the time. There just wasn't the resources, there wasn't the awareness and a center for people to be drawn to engage in this kind of thing. And what happened instead is that WikiLeaks took what was actually a fallback position to be like a press agency, to seed information to the mainstream media. And that's how everybody knows WikiLeaks now. That's what WikiLeaks is. But it's not all of what WikiLeaks was hoping to be. And I think we are at this point possibly filling out part of that vision, which didn't get to take place originally. And I think it's important that it is decentralized. We're not sort of trying to build ourselves as WikiLeaks Part 2 or WikiLeaks extension or something like that. But I think the vision and the movement is part and parcel of the whole intent to bring transparency to power and to facilitate justice with truth.
Yeah, and I think that WikiLeaks giving public who archive the document, who documents. I mean, that it's a testimony of WikiLeaks' commitment to public right to know, and that Julian believes that ordinary people have ability to inform themselves, and then when they are informed, that they know what is the right things to do. So that's a very courageous thing that Julian has done to give us all and let us find out the truth, which is I think a really true spirit of investigative journalism, right? And now the professional journalists, they are the one who engage in editorial, in the name of editorial decisioning, that they redact and then suppress information. And now I mean, so again, you are right. I mean, I think that at the core of WikiLeaks is really the faith of the ordinary people's ability to govern themselves. And we could be, this working session is a good testimony for that, So,
that's right. Yeah. And it's a constant theme that on every session, there's always reference to the media. And Jose was particularly emphatic about it, that the media is letting down the people of Ecuador at the moment in such a graphic and tragic way. But to have an alternative is very, very important. And this is what we're trying to focus on right here and developing in a small way. And I think that's a very important vision. it's not just to think, well, WikiLeaks is great. WikiLeaks is doing what journalists aren't doing, what the media aren't doing, and just having this sort of binary understanding. You've got WikiLeaks good and media corrupt. No, we need a new media that's not corrupt, and we have to push and develop and experiment in doing that. And there's one thing to reform media, and that's a worthy task, but it's also another thing to bring it into the digital age in a way which is effective and wholesome. I can only use that word because that's the problem with media. It's a corrupt vestige of an age where information couldn't be so effectively shared, where citizen journalism only had a very small role, and where those players were unable to effectively network and communicate. And we have those potentials now, and it's beginning a bit with Twitter and good networks of informed citizen journalists and activists. But we're just adding a little bit more here in our own way today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should use the existing media like Twitter. I mean, it all works together, doesn't it? Like Twitter.
Absolutely.
Articles from blog sites and written blog sites, and also YouTube, YouTubers. In terms of like the media being corrupt, wouldn't you just say that they're simply amoral, and that they're corporate media? Their purpose, which is to make money.
That's it. There's the terms of art. Corrupt, immoral, commercial. However you look at it, you can see that the ideal has been deviated from in radically negative ways. When it comes to the situation where Julian Assange is being tortured and persecuted in the heart of London, and this is being enabled by the institutions that people rely on for accurate and important information. So I think that the word corrupt is almost necessarily validated in that context. But you can look at it from another angle and say, well, they're just trying to improve the bottom line for their shareholders or something like that. Okay, but if that's the case, we need a better system.
Yeah, we should just dump them. I mean, tell people they're out to make profits. I mean, how do you reform someone whose corporate statement, whose constitution says that their goal is to make money for their shareholders? You can't reform that. It's corrupt from the get-go.
Well, I mean, if the shareholders aren't going to make a profit unless the public is informed correctly, then the model is kind of valid. But in practice, it doesn't seem to be working out that way. So there's a lot that can be said on these topics.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
I'm not sure many of them. Oh, sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
Well, I do think social media is the platform. The media is our media. Social media is our media, or at least they're also out to make a profit. So we have to be aware of that. But I think strategize to use social media in effective ways. And I will say that, give credit to particularly Susie, that Unity for J has been a huge success story in being innovative. We have the goal of, we have the strategy of Unity, but also the strategy of holding online vigils that attracted a lot of people.
Yeah.
I do think a large part of the strategizing is connecting the novel parts that we've done to more effectively connect them with social media. So, for example, all of the vigil interviews have gone on the YouTube channel. There's a whole lot of them, the UCPJ YouTube channel. And if you look at them, they have like 100 views or a couple of hundred views, which is reasonable, but it could be an order of magnitude higher if we just went back over them and connected them to people, for example, by finding interesting quotes and then tweeting the interesting quote with a link to the whole article, to the whole video. And then people are going to be attracted by the interesting quote. Just spread the word generally. I mean, you and Nozomi particularly here have been talking about what WikiLeaks does, and it's completely compelling. Most of the public just aren't aware of what WikiLeaks does. So isn't that our main task, to get that out to a wide cross-section of the public, particularly in America and the UK and Australia?
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about social media is spot on in that it's clearly the strength of this Unity for J to date has been the social media aspect. And for instance, when Susie started the WikiBees, one of the first things was she was reviewing the different aspects of the movement and giving color-coded ratings of the success of failure. And the Twitter and Facebook social media side of things was coming up trumps all the time. And it's really where the action has been taking place. And I think it's still and always is going to be the main focus and input in terms of reaching the public. But then there's also the source of information and catalyzing the production of citizen journalism in around a little hub, which is going to take place more, I think, with the new website, and seems to be very much part of Bjorn's vision for it. And there's certainly no competition, as you were saying before. It's a synergistic thing. The more dynamic, immediate content that comes out, the more effective the social media propagation of that will be, because it's good content. It's more driving and important content. So yeah, there's a lot of things come together, but you're spot on about the fact that the lion's share of the work and progress is being carried forward, particularly on Twitter, I think, at the moment.
Yes, and we could do a lot more even on Twitter. And for example, Instagram is a big channel, particularly among younger people. There's a guy called DC Drano on Instagram who used to be a high-paid entertainment lawyer, and he's a full-time professional Instagrammer now. He's actually supporting Donald Trump. It's a political channel that he does supporting Donald Trump. Now, we don't want to do that, but I mean, we're apolitical, but it's just showing that Instagram is also an important channel, and we only have about 10 posts on Instagram, so we can approve a lot of things. Another thing that I forgot to mention, I mean, I talked about our visuals and YouTube videos from that, but the richest resource for helping Julian is Julian's speeches himself. And we haven't really been combing through those and finding the best quotes and promoting them. So we can do a lot there. And it's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, when you understand the vision that he's had, you know, that you and Nozomi understand, when you understand that, and a lot of that is just from single comments that he's done that you can quote, single quotes. There are really powerful quotes from Julian, aren't there?
I agree. His philosophy is rather well expressed and catalogued. Well, not catalogued yet. I think that's what we need to do, actually. But the presence is there. You know, the articles are there, the statements are there, interviews are there. Yeah, and I think that's a great idea to actually, because he does summarize things very well, and to get those out, you know, a lot of it does fit in a tweet, for instance. It'd be good to see more of them.
Yes. And the third source, I think, is other people's tweets and artwork, other people's contributions WikiLeaks and to publicizing WikiLeaks and to informing the public about WikiLeaks and adding an aura to it, making it attractive to people. There are people, you know, we're one of many groups, we're probably the biggest, but also people, I'd give a shout out to Angel Fox on Twitter. She's done so many tweets about Julian Assange, and she's got a following of, I think, 44,000 on Twitter. So anything that's positive about WikiLeaks and either gets the message of WikiLeaks across, which is really important, but also some artwork that beautiful things about WikiLeaks, just raise the public consciousness. And we should just go for it and do more and more of that.
Absolutely. I mean, really, everybody should just go for it. I think that's what Susie was trying to emphasize. I mean, she was taking a step back yesterday. And particularly within, I mean, Discord has been good, but it's obviously had shortfalls, and people are having difficulty orienting themselves in it, new people. And also, as we've seen today, you know, when you have an idea and sometimes you don't know where to go with it, and it's often hard to find the right place and focus and get people's attention and so on. And we're solving that problem in step by step, but particularly with the new website, I think it will really facilitate everybody just getting in there, doing their own thing, but doing it in a way which efficiently synergizes with everybody else doing their own thing. And that's where the hard work goes into the back end of a good website and a good hub where people can interact in synergistic ways.
Yes, I asked Joe this question privately earlier today because it was a pretty dumb question, I thought, but a very basic question. Is the website replacing Discord, or does it work together with Discord? Bjorn, do you want to speak? Unmute yourself and speak.
He's shaking his head. What about Joe?
Sorry, I keep on dropping off. My Zoom keeps on freezing up on my phone. I'm not sure why. I was just creating I'm trying to get a few more Instagrammers in. Instagram is something I've been trying to push along as well. I obviously have access to most of the accounts and all the credentials, because people create these things decentralized and send me a copy of the credentials. And so when I see them sitting there without much activity, I try and push things along. So I did have an offer from a couple of people in Instagram who are keen to start pushing out. So I don't know if you've seen them on Instagram where you tile together 9 pictures or something and make a glorious thing. And one of the tools they were talking about was Unnum. So yeah, if anyone wants to push that along, I certainly did send Letty and I think Liliana some details to try and get it started. And there's been a few people there. Back to your actual question, which I've now forgotten. What was the question? Will the new website enable people to collaborate more?
Was about Discord, wasn't it? A transition from Discord to a new website, and will it be? Oh
yeah,
open?
so yeah, true. Okay, yeah, Bruce did ask me that earlier. He said, "Is the website, replacing Discord? Are we migrating 3,000 people to them and telling them they have to learn something new?" I think initially we will suck it and see. We'll figure it out. Obviously, Discord has its limitations, and we're trying to build some of those features into the website so that we aren't limited in those ways. Things like your sort of resource library and your ability to pull up context from people. I was just seeing the web team just now. I was very pleased to see. We can register everything everyone does anywhere, documenting history in real time, with any supporter able to submit news leaks, anything of interest really, anonymously over Tor, even using the latest standard free software on their phones or computers. and we can connect the dots, gathering the evidence that will eventually expose the whole power structure of this global mafia we're up against. So that was what I was scrolling through.
Where did that come from again?
That's in Web Team currently. Which
who said that?
That's from Bjorn. He's sitting there smiling.
Oh, right. He's silent, but it's in a lot.
Yeah, well, he can type. He can type faster than he can talk, right?
Yeah. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I can say something about about replacing Discord and so on, but it's not supposed to replace Discord, but it has some serious limitations. I mean, imagine just tasks. You have a list of things you want to do, and you can't pin it to the top of Discord like think that people are going to find it. It's not going to work. So you have to have some kind of support structure for organizing the things you do and planning.
Yeah.
And Discord is excellent for like showing things, getting feedback, and see activity going on. But you have to have a layer above it to plan and set the agenda.
Can I just because I do like to read people's comments. I mean, as part of Wikibeats that we're interactive with people. So this is a comment from Paul, who's a regular on Unity4J. Pinterest is a good library for Unity. So thanks, Paul. Yeah, that addresses a couple of topics we were talking about. That's another social media platform, Pinterest. And also Fleur in particular has done an awful lot of work gathering together Julian Assange's speeches, etc., Simon, on Pinterest. So you go to Pinterest, you click on a pin, and then you can get the link to the original speech. And so that's an interesting topic of whether that fulfills the requirements of being a library for Julian Assange. And people tended to think that maybe the website could do it better than Pinterest. I don't know. But straight away, you can go to Pinterest, Unity4J Pinterest, and you can find a lot of Julian Assange's speeches there.
Cool.
Stephanie wants to.
Yes.
Stephanie wants to know what new website. So
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming, and certainly we've been working on it. Bjorn's been doing a lot, and I haven't been doing a lot. So that's fantastic.
So we had a website at the start, which was fairly basic. I think maybe you threw it together, Joe. And
so we I'll go to it because where is it? Web.archive.
Oh, but you just type unity4j.com.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you can go to that. But you know some of the history there. So we am I on video? I am.
Yes.
I was just trying to remember. So if which am I on? One of these sort of things. Unity4J. Oh, they're catching my keystrokes now. Usually when you get two letters typed at a time, someone's monitoring your keystrokes. That's usually the way. So there you go. Back in April, when Julian's internet got cut off, we all sprung into action, and there's nothing on that page. Let's find one of the first cuts. So yep, I quickly put together, based on a previous thing we did. We had an online Kiwi debate where we brought together a bunch of political parties to talk about stuff. So that was basically where we were, and we had 3 or 4 participants, and I don't think yeah, and that was our page. So from there, it's grown to where you see it today. We did things like adding video embeds so you could actually watch along with us. And then further on, we started adding. I think some of the things we needed to start adding was we had a Twitter and a Facebook and an email, but we didn't really have any way of interacting with people. And so, there was more participants coming along. We'd actually got some text in there talking about, this is June, talking about what we were on about. And we actually had our first vigil, which you'll remember, press release and some bad UTF-8 characters.
Which was amazing. The first vigil was amazing.
Oh yeah, well, and you can obviously click back and go and watch it, and then oh wow. So yeah, just strolling through history. We've come a long way with our. So this is unityforj.com to where we are today, which in theory you are. Well, this is the sort of inception view. You can see yourself seeing yourself right here on the stream. So we're currently live on the website right now. Cool. Except the stream's slightly delayed, so I'll have to talk about it a little while longer until the stream comes up. And there I am typing in unityforj.com, clicking on this video. And you can then watch us watching the video, which is something I used to do quite a lot in our internet party streams, show streams of us watching streams. And
we have a video. We have a website, and
we do.
We demanded a website with more capability, right?
Yeah, totally.
And Bjorn has been doing a wonderful job working away on it. It's a big job, and every session, Susie gets Bjorn on and says, show us some stuff.
Yeah.
And have you finished yet, Bjorn? Have you finished yet?
The answer to that question is always, well, what is your definition of done? And have I finished? Well, what more do you want? And usually once you release something, or even a feature that inspires more thoughts about what you can do, and these sort of software's never finished, right, Bjorn?
Can I repeat the question? When might the launch occur?
Soon.
Same answer. Same question. Same answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can say that. We need a little bit of content. The backend is ready, so anyone who feels the call can go in and add it. We've specified what we need in several of the web channels. So we just need someone to add a little bit of content, and then we can put the views on it and put it up.
Bjorn, just to clarify, I saw something on Discord. You posted a couple of points to that effect, asking for content. Is there a delay, or is there any problem in that respect? Are you actually sort of twiddling your thumbs saying, come on, people? Or are you expecting something to come up soon and get this rolling?
I'm hoping someone will let me know, and I'll give them access so they can start adding.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people are never awake at the same time.
Right.
So there is a delay.
Usually there's a 24, 48 hours of people catching up and seeing things. So certainly, so to repeat that call, what we're looking for is a bunch of people who are the sort of leaders or content creators who have a handle on what Unity4J's producing in each area of their expertise, be it scribes or social media or or whoever. If you feel like you've got a good handle on what Unity for J is doing, and you want to access to the new content sort of platform, and you have the ability, which we can show you, we can teach you, to start entering content in and doing things to make this site live. So what we've got essentially is a box, and we're asking people to put their stuff into it. And what are we up to now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're almost into infinity with this wiki piece on the screen.
How does the content that's already on Oreo and Discord relate to this? Is it a simple matter to port that over, like the stuff that's on the approvals channel?
Yeah, to some degree. A lot of the stuff is still, it's still accessible in Discord's content delivery network. So we can just start uploading the content. What we're sort of asking here is can we have a few keen people who can do that, who have a handle on the content and know what it is. So yeah. Anyway,
do you have anybody put their hand up yet?
I've certainly put my hand up.
Cool.
But
this is one of the things that I feel frustrated with sometimes on Discord, is there's not a clear sense of who's doing what. There's like a call goes out, but it's sometimes.
Well, I think that was what Susie was saying yesterday as well. She's encouraging us to just step out and do it. Everyone does wait for someone to tell them it's okay to do something, but in this case, it's okay for you and you and you and you to do whatever it is you think you need to push the movement along. And this is about starting to diversify our structure of who we are. There has been, I think we started with 2 or 3 mods, and there's now sort of 30 or so that we would like to turn into people who feel they have a what do you call it, a empowerment, I can't remember the word, are empowered to go in and make this stuff happen. So if you feel like you're a person responsibility, if you feel like you're a person who would like to get some stuff done, and you feel there's a few things in your way, then certainly yell out, and we can certainly give you some more responsibility. I'm just looking at a reminder that I'm meant to be somewhere else in half an hour. So,
Stephanie Massilia asks, what content do you need?
So, we've got
I can answer it with words. It's probably faster. We need just registering the upcoming vigils and Wikibees, and very nice if someone can also register the ones that have been in the past with links to videos and the participants and so on. And we also need to register the participants and their information, and we can add quotes and all the info we have on them. And there's the press releases, adding them on the date they were sent out, and with attachments the actual PDFs. And
Mackenzie Rose was looking at that kind of stuff for a while, at least, wasn't she? I'm just wondering if, like I said, with the problem with Discord, sometimes somebody puts out a question, you don't know who else is thinking about it or responding to it in the background. Sometimes you just take a step back, and then everybody taking a step back and nothing happens. So I don't want to be panicking about this, but I know maybe this is a call for Susie as well. She says she's sticking around. Maybe that's a good thing to look into. Just make sure we get this transfer of content happening.
All this content, Bjorn. So hasn't Fleur pinned this onto Pinterest? Or Joe, do you know? Because Fleur's doing something very similar. So that's
so the pins are essentially. I think the challenge Fleur has quite a lot is we're not producing our own links to content. What we're doing is grabbing it from around the net. So we'll pin a nice article on the net or something. And what we don't really have is our own source of this information. So what we're essentially wanting to do is start to collect that stuff in and put it in our website and catalog it so that we can then share it out from there, if that makes sense.
Because if it's somewhere else on the web, they might take the link down or something like that.
Yeah, well, that too, but primarily for the content we create. But certainly, certainly there's room to screenshots and bits and pieces. You're just smiling, Bill.
Because I would like to see us catalog Julian's stuff, and I think Fleur's doing that already. Where for Julian, Julian's the sole purpose for this movement.
That can I just say
Yes.
I hope somebody takes on that task and starts registering everything that has happened in this case in the timeline, so we can actually trace everything that has happened, who said what and who did what. That would be very.
Do you mean
nice
it's the
to put
timeline
together,
on
because we
Discord?
can visualize. No, on
Historical
Julian's situation.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Julian. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Have that too. Yeah.
Simon,
Because
it's your history that you're talking about, that WikiLeaks wanted to do more than just that they wanted to be a press organization as well, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, with respect to press organisation, that was actually more the fallback position. There was a mention of being something like Reuters, just providing the leaked information and trying to get it distributed out through media outlets and into the newspapers, for instance. So, but really, there were a lot of experiments. Maybe I was involved in a couple in 2007, and and the last one was 2009. That was the last contact I had with WikiLeaks. It was an experiment that didn't really work out like the others, where, for instance, they would release information to a small group of people. And this is also sort of in history that you read in the media that's already out there about WikiLeaks. There was often information released, pre-released to a group of people with the intent that there would be some working through and production of an analysis to accompany the release, for instance. And that often was not a very effective process. We didn't really have clear successes in that, with some exceptions that I wasn't involved in, whatever that says about me. But there, that was just, it was really just a first principles approach. So the idea is we have the information coming from whistleblowers, and we need to get this out to the world. And there's the problem of the gatekeepers. We have to get around the gatekeepers somehow. So ideally, it would be collaborative. You put it out there, and then anyone who was interested would jump in, pile on, dive in, work it out, and produce analysis and circulate the information on the web such that people could to see this information put in context and elaborated on, and so people can join all the dots with the issues that are raised in the leaked information. So that's the vision in a nutshell. You know, there's nothing secret or esoteric about it, and it's been declared many times in many ways in the past. But because of the difficulties involved with that, WikiLeaks did end up taking more or less just the position of putting a very small press release after verifying information in a document, and then letting it leaving the information in the hands of the internet, which still hasn't been very effective. It's been a recurring theme over the vigils and from various people that the information's out there, but there's very little digging going on.
Yes.
And so that's part of what needs to happen. There's also the real-time edge of things. Analysis of recently released articles with the core stories and stuff like that. That often the mainstream media version of reporting on a WikiLeaks release will be slanted and missing very important information. So that's where taking control of the narrative is important. So there's the digging aspect of the history, and there's also the leading edge of the narrative, which are two factors that have been that haven't worked out according to the ideal, and we're working now to improve that.
Yes. For example, the first one, the digging, everyone recognises that, I think. And Susie and Elizabeth have been doing that for the Snowden files with Decipher.U. So that's exactly.
A few people have been doing a heroic job, but it's just the scale of it. There's so much that remains to be done, and there's so many people who could contribute that aren't. There's just a few people, exceptional people, like you mentioned, like Susie and Elizabeth, and Elizabeth Muller, I think, Kat Mima, is doing some great work digging into the Stratfor stuff. Stefano Marizzi, the Italian journalist, has a good history in bringing out WikiLeaks material, and Garrison and several others. But it needs to be a mass thing.
It's not something you start lightly. I think it's like an entry barrier, isn't it?
There's a bit of it's a bit of an intimidation effect with the information. That was really the problem getting traction in the past when we tried to do collaborative analysis in WikiLeaks. It was a bit like everyone was just a little daunted and afraid to take the lead. A bit of a parallel there, like with what I mentioned before at Discord. Sometimes you take a step back to wait and see what's going on, or you're not sure what other people are doing. And that sort of paralyzed and prevented those experiments succeeding often in the past. But we're making inroads, and this is something I think we'll be seeing more of in coming months and years.
Yeah.
Particularly with these initiatives now, with the digital infrastructure coming together to support it, and a movement like this. That was missing in 2007, through 2009, when I was part of seeing what was happening that wasn't working. I think it was largely because those resources weren't in place that are now coming into place.
Yes, I think that's not our main task, though, is it? Our main task is to get
Julian out of the embassy.
Yes. Well, that's not the whole story either. I mean, if Julian gets out of the embassy, wherever he is, he needs public support.
Yeah.
He needs public awareness. And it's the same, for example, it's the same with Snowden. What was Snowden's biggest fear of any fear? It wasn't that he'd be locked up for life. He accepted that. His biggest fear, he said it, was that people would ignore it. People wouldn't be aware of it. So it's almost similar for Julian. Wherever he is, the US intelligence agencies are still going to be after him. What they can do is limited by public acceptance.
Yeah. I was just going to qualify that remark in the way that you did. I think that's really the key. And eventually, if something's not publicly acceptable, sometimes it just drops out of the machinery in the background. So we can perhaps hope for that as well. I can't hear you now, Bruce. You're muted.
Yeah, I was
muted himself.
That's bad.
Myself. So
when he's busily typing.
Yes. So
Double
I mean,
duty.
the intelligence agencies might say, "Well, fair enough. You're a publisher. That's the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah.
We can't get you. You know, we accept that now."
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like things that go on in intelligence agencies have a life of their own necessarily. I mean, it's all organised from the top. They have a priority structure and an agenda and all that sort of stuff. And if something just gets switched off, then it just that's where it just withers.
Yes. I think in general, WikiLeaks seeks to expose corruption everywhere. So there's always going to be people after him and upset.
There'll always be some kind of trouble, yeah.
Yeah. So understanding what they're doing and getting it out to the general public is what we have to do, I think, mainly.
Well, when I say when I talk about these things like digging into WikiLeaks information and also being on the front edge of the narrative with the salient information, these are not necessarily things that Unity for J has to make central responsibility. But this is what has to happen to have a better world. And we'll have some part of it. We already are having some part of it necessarily. But this is a decentralized ideal that we're talking about, and either it's going to happen mainly here or it's going to happen mainly somewhere else. But it better happen somewhere. We're going to be talking about and promoting
it. That reminded me of something, and I just want to do a plug for it, which is that there was a wonderful interview on Democracy Now! By Jen Robinson, Julian's lawyer. So I thought this was one of the really positive developments of today because it just happened. And you see with Jen Robinson what a professional advocate, at the top of the game can say for Julian. As an advocate, she's just wonderful. And this is on Democracy Now!, so a lot of people are seeing it. So I just wanted to mention that as one thing for today. And can I just show it as a clip? Is that all right, Jerry? Just share it?
Yeah, go for it.
So I will.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Go for it.
Oh, thanks.
Go for it anyway. Jump in and do it. That's the new rule.
Yeah. So I hope you can see that. So this is the clip. It starts, I think, 18 minutes in. So hopefully someone will tweet this link. So this is Democracy Now! And I also want to do a shout out to Ann Garrison and everybody else. I think Ann Garrison started it. Ann Garrison said, here's something really simple you can do to help Julian. And that is send a message to Democracy Now! To say, please cover Julian Assange.
And they did.
And they did. So this is wonderful. This is something simple that we did. We should always keep our eye out for things simple like this. And it worked beautifully. And I just showed
former NSA and CIA Director Michael Hayden. He appeared on CNN this morning.
And then fast forward to actually sending an agent of WikiLeaks to Hong Kong to assist Edward Snowden in the flight from U.S. Justice. You then later have the release of cyber hacking tools apparently stolen from the United States government. And I'm not even up to the question of the American election in 2016 yet. I think there's a reason why he stayed in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for so long.
He went on to talk about comparing him to a journalist. He was speaking to John Berman, saying, because journalists curate information. But he started by talking about helping Edward Snowden in Hong Kong, sending another person from WikiLeaks to help Snowden leave Hong Kong. Talk about Julian Assange's history and his Hayden saying these are the reasons he should be arrested, even outside of whatever the Mueller inquiry is about.
Well, let's take those two questions separately. We have the fact that WikiLeaks assisted Snowden in gaining asylum, and we have the fact that WikiLeaks has published CIA materials. Now, in respect to the CIA materials, WikiLeaks has done what other media organisations can and should and do all the time, which is receiving classified information and publishing it in the public interest. That information was verified, it has been shown to be in the public interest, and WikiLeaks has done no different than any other media organisation in publishing that material. With respect to assisting Edward Snowden, he has been granted asylum, and the disclosures made by Edward Snowden have been demonstrated to have been in the public interest. We've seen decisions on Americans' constitutional right to privacy showing that the conduct of the American government was unconstitutional. That is important information, important public interest information. And I think the world has seen and been grateful for the publications that Edward Snowden has made, that he is now protected from extradition and prosecution for having made those disclosures is important, and WikiLeaks is to be thanked for that. Now, should someone face prosecution for having assisted a whistleblower, for having published information in the public interest, I think Americans ought to be asking themselves those questions. What does it mean for American democracy?
Let me go to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Last year, just after he became CIA director, in Pompeo's first major address, he blasted.
That was great.
Yeah, well, I'll stop it there. That was my favourite part.
Awesome.
So Jennifer Robinson just dismantled that point.
Oh yeah, and and it was such a great contrast because the two perspectives. Michael Hayden talking complete nonsense in these fallacious and really nasty kind of modes of insinuating things, and then Jennifer Robinson just laying it all out in this really clear, straight. Illuminating the issue and just blowing that away.
Yes,
because
so that's not our material. That didn't come from Unity for J, but surely our job is to amplify.
Oh yeah,
the best content like that. That is the best content.
Yeah.
That tells you straight away what Julian Assange is doing. That's a viewpoint that the public don't often get to see. General Hayden is on the news media all the time, on the mainstream media, and with Mike Pompeo is also. So that's the game we're up against. And when we get a gem like that, I think it's up to Unity for J to amplify it.
Yeah, I think you're right there that Unity for J is really in the middle, is the main content driver of that kind of thing. The right angle and the best consolidating point at the moment for that sort of stuff, and really it probably is the main function and purpose, and it's doing a good job. You're muted again, Bruce.
I'm muted too. Hey, I've got to head off in 5-10 minutes. Kids out for dinner. I'm just wondering if we want to continue. I can hand the host reins over to someone, or the stream will just continue until you stop it. But I will check in regularly and from afar. But yeah, if
I guess that'd be Bruce. But I just wanted to say before you go, Joe.
Yeah, we were going to talk of. We were going to cover off a few more things, but yeah.
It looks like you'd set up already the relevant channel. So
so in the background, I think I've created some channel in Spanish. I don't really understand what it's for or why it's there, but someone said please add it. And there is the real-time journalism channel as well.
Real-time journalism, okay. So that's what it is, everybody. If you want to participate in what we've been talking about, and specifically at the moment, I want to emphasize the connection with the Ecuadorian issues that we want to get some English coverage of.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So,
Thanks,
so that channel exists. I've mentioned you, so you should have a little red mark next to it. Hopefully, if you
okay, there we are.
Find it,
I can see it.
Yeah, cool. And so yeah, just before I also created this channel. This channel, which I'm not 100% sure, but I might invite Trusty Boss to do some real-time translation for me. So it's something in Spanish that Joe doesn't understand fully, but enjoy it if that's what you're into. Awesome. All right.
Many thanks. That's great.
Yeah, so in case you don't know what I do around here, this is pretty much what I do. People say, "Oh, Joe, can you do something?" And I facilitate most of the technical things, and every little bit helps. I'm sure, but over time, good night, Bjorn. Thanks for everything.
Oh,
he's got to head off too. It's
Good night,
3 a.m. or something for you there. Yeah, it's a bit late.
One of the things we were going to talk about, and Mady was going to talk about, was getting Wikibees probably switched to a European-friendly time zone.
Yeah, so we've got two sessions. I reckon that we could probably run one of them at a different sort of time, and we're not constrained by Moscow time directly if Susie's not about. So yeah, what sort of time were you thinking, Bruce? I'm using my phone. That's why I can't find it. I'm using my phone to Zoom.
We don't have any Europeans left here, do we? On the stream.
Ask in the chat.
It's like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. That's why. Yeah. Well, Mady started at 2. It's almost 5 in the morning, and Mady started at 2 a.m. So he was great.
Oh.
Yeah. Susie's always done that. You know, Susie works like crazy. She's done so much.
Well, I suppose that does segue quite nicely into one of the things that I was going to mention in this. We are in need of a few more people to run the back end sort of streaming stuff on the background. So I don't know if there's people in the stream team that are wanting to get up to if I stop sharing. It's relatively straightforward to do this kind of thing. I'm sitting here with my dual screen monitors remoted into a stream PC. Over here is a stream PC, which is, I don't know if you can see that, which is I've got down here a list of all the different things that I can cut to. So like my technical break with the chat, or back to the live Wikibees. And so me and Ebon are typically doing this on the background, but if you're able to run OBS and put a stream out, if you're familiar with that, then let us know. So the tech we use is Zoom, which we're zooming in right now, which is an encrypted end-to-end video chat. You can share content and video and all the things that we do, and we pipe that into a free tool called OBS. I think it's obsproject.com, OBS project, something like that. And so those video streams are here, and I can cut between various things here. We add the sort of titles that you see in the live stream, the Wikibees logos and bits and pieces, and make it all happen. So if you feel like that could be something you can help with, the stream team is waiting for you, and it would enable us to not have to wake up at 3 a.m. to do a European stream. For those of us who are on the other side of the world. So,
no, the European stream is. Sorry, I mean it's you have a very good topic. Actually, I'll come back to the time, but I'll ask you questions directly, Joe. What are the technical requirements, and how long does it take to learn?
I would say it's fairly straightforward. If you're a person who's streamed or recorded videos for YouTube in the past, then you're probably familiar with the sort of basic bits and pieces. There's not a lot of, a lot of the things happen in the background. Restream pipes this video stream out to 2 YouTube channels, a couple of Facebook channels, a Ustream, a Periscope, and a few others. So that does it all automatically. You just enter a magic number in OBS on this end, and it all just happens. So there is a guide Ebon put out, which I think is linked in the Stream Team channel on Discord, which goes through the basics for it.
He wrote it. Is it specific?
Yeah, he wrote it. It's not specific to Unity for J, but it's essentially something that you could pick up. You could join our Zoom and share it out with your own channel, with your own, if you've got a YouTube channel, and that would essentially give you some experience to test out the procedure and how it all works. So it could be relatively straightforward. So the main constraints are having a computer that can handle real-time full-screen video. My one can sort of handle it, but I don't have enough bandwidth outbound from my place. You'll need sort of 2 or 3 megabits of internet connectivity for however many hours of streaming it is, which is a reasonable internet connection. If you're on fiber or cable or something like that, then it's probably ideal. I don't quite have that amount of bandwidth, so I'm remotely controlling a PC on the other side of the world in the US, which is then doing this for me. So that's another option as well. If you've got some resources or a computer that we can use, then we can send you the setup files and get it all started. So yeah, do yell out in Stream Team if you think you can help. And I probably do need to go. What else were we conceivably going to talk about? If you can remember,
we could talk about time for the European stream, but
yeah.
Because actually I was talking with Maybe, and we were thinking that Saturday is Unity for J Day for Action, right? So
yeah, everyone else's Saturday, yes.
Yeah,
my Sunday, yes.
Yes. So if Europe is running a Wikibees, then you can cut every now and then to
live action things.
Someone doing an event, doing a live action.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really good. And that's also good for us, Joe, because that's Sunday morning for us.
Yeah.
It'll be Saturday evening for Europe.
Yeah.
And it would be Saturday afternoon for the US. So actions taking place in the afternoon in the US. Can be captured and shown in the evening.
Yeah,
in Europe.
That could work. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll think of it and make it happen. The key with these I've found, because a lot of discussion happens in these Wikibees sessions that doesn't often get written down, is to mention it somewhere on the server or put out a tweet or something and see what happens. I'm all for it, and certainly technically we can enable streaming of another session. And if the other thing I was going to push is, right now, I think we're streaming on a couple of Facebook pages. I think there's about 3 of them that take our streams. But if you've got a Facebook group or a Facebook page out there and you'd like to see some of this content piped through, then have a look at the concept of cross-posting and ping me, Joe Manji, on the server, and I can send you a authorization to take our content and share it out to your page. So, yeah, cross-posting in Facebook, if that's something you know about, then yell out as well. I'll mention these various things in Facebook, in the Facebook channel, and various other things. In fact, if you scroll back, I've talked about it before. So, yeah.
What is the advantage of having more than one Facebook page?
Well, it's not more like more than one Facebook page. It's more opening up this sort of content and this message to a wider audience. So you might have a group of people who, whatever they do, that are interested in Julian Assange and things, and you might not have joined the Unity for J or whatever. So it's more a way of reaching more people, and it's a great way to, I don't know, I think we're interesting. It is a way to, to get your audience, if you've got a page there, a regular video stream, and you're welcome to join it as well and contribute. So I'll put some information on that, cross-posting in a channel, but right now I do need to run off and feed the kids and
well, it's time to go. We're finishing. So thanks. There's some good comments at the end. Someone said they can help with restreaming, and someone says they're helping Kathy. Free Spirit says I'm helping Kathy with video logging, and nice. Carmelco Sala, sorry, said I can help. Oh, and they left their email address so we can contact them.
All right, they left it in the chat.
Yeah, I think so. So
good on them.
Yeah.
I'll try and if you can message those to me. I'm going to run, but certainly I will try and touch base with those people. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, that's 5 o'clock. So thanks very much, Simon, for the discussion and coming along, and thanks also for the other panelists who came along as well, and thanks for everyone who watched. And apologies for not answering the chat questions as well as I could have on YouTube. I hope I haven't been too bad at that. And it was a good session. And next session is next Wednesday for the rest of the world, Thursday for New Zealand at 8 p.m. Eastern time in the US.
Other way around, Bruce, isn't it? Oh no, you're right. Wednesday for
We're 13 hours ahead of the rest of the world, sometimes more.
I'm the same in Australia, so Wednesday for everyone else, Thursday for us.
Awesome. All right, well, ka kite anō.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.
Bye all.
All right, cheers.
We can shift it.